Fort Nassau, near Moree, Ghana, was the first fort that the Dutch established on what would become the Dutch Gold Coast. Background: from 1598 onward, Dutch merchants traded on the Gold Coast of Africa. Although the Gold Coast was already settled by Portuguese, there was little effort to evict the Dutch, as the military resources were committed to the war in Europe. This changed after the signing of the 12 years truce between Portugal, Spain and the Dutch Republic in 1609. The Portuguese now had sufficient resources to protect the trade monopoly, and began attacking the Dutch factories on the coast. The factory at Moree was burned to the ground in 1610. Dutch traders then petitioned the States General of the Dutch Republic to build a fort on the coast. The States General was receptive of their demands, and sent Jacob Clancius, who was to become the first general on the coast, to the Gold Coast in 1611. In 1612, the Treaty of Assabou was signed between the Dutch and the Chief of Assabou, which allowed for the establishment of Fort Nassau at Moree. History: in 1612, Clancius built a reinforced fort at Moree, which, due to the unfamiliarity of the Dutch with building in the tropics, was notorious for its unhealthy conditions. In 1624, the Dutch considerably expanded the fort. Fort Nassau served as the capital of the Dutch Gold Coast from its establishment until 1637, when the Dutch captured Fort Elmina from the Portuguese. At the end of 1781, Captain Thomas Shirley in the frigate HMS Leander, together with the sloop of war Alligator, sailed for the Dutch Gold Coast with a convoy consisting of a few merchant vessels and transports. Britain was at war with the Dutch Republic, and Shirley launched an unsuccessful attack on the 17th of February on the Dutch outpost at Elmina, being repulsed 4 days later. Leander and Shirley then went on to capture 4 small Dutch forts: Fort Nassau, Fort Amsterdam at Cormentine, Fort Gouda Hoop at Senya Bericus, and Fort Crèvecoeur at Accra. Shirley then garrisoned those facilities with personnel from Cape Coast Castle. Images.